All right, I had to make one of these videos. I've seen these before. People make these first-person videos looking into a camera, talking. Usually, it's weird. I don't know why. Usually, it's the driver of a pickup truck talking into his phone. So I want to do this one a little bit differently. A little bit of background here. Back in mid-April, I realized I was consuming way too much media. I was watching too much news, listening to too much talk radio and podcasts, and reading articles and blogs. And so to sort of check myself, I just turned it off. I made a conscious decision to not watch any news, to consume no media for a period of time. And that period of time has lasted all the way up until this morning, where I found out that because COVID cases are on the rise, an event that I had planned for this Friday, an all-day training event, had been canceled, once again because COVID cases are on the rise. Now, I spent a lot of time working on this training event, so I wanted to kind of delve into and figure out why it was canceled. So I did some research, and one of the first things I found going through the CDC website and one other outlet, which is the New York Post, is that most people, when tested positive for COVID, are going to be somewhat critical or analytical and go get a test the following day to see if their previous test falls in the 8 to 10% of inaccuracy range. I believe that I would do that. If I were tested positive, I would go back the following day and see if it was true. So let's say in this scenario, this person goes back the second day and they are in fact tested positive again. Now they have confirmed their positive COVID test stature. Positive COVID test. So they've been home for 2 days now, and they're going to go ahead and plan another 12 days at home to quarantine, work from home, all those types of things. Hopefully the symptoms don't become too severe. So let's say they're 1 day away from their clear date, and they are overzealous, as I'm sure that I would be, and they go get another test. The drive-through deal, like they did the first 2 times, where they just roll down the window, the medical professional comes into the car, does the thing, instant test, and it comes out negative again. So they wait another 2 days to get fully past the 14-day quarantine period, and they finally get a negative test. As I understand, through research and coming out of my news hiatus, some states and areas require multiple negative tests in order for a person to return to work. So let's say that has happened. Now, you know what I figured out from the CDC website is they have no way to delineate one person with multiple negatives versus one person for multiple positives. So in this scenario that I'm requesting and bringing up here, one person has had 4 tests in a 2-week or so period, let's say 16-day period. 3 of those tests have come back positive. So the information I'm receiving from the CDC means that now has been added as 3 positive cases in 15 or so days. Not just one person being tested multiple times. Maybe that person is tested at multiple locations. From what I can see, they have no way to tell the difference. So it brings me to the next point of fact here, and that's a little bit of opinion there kind of built into that first part of this video. The second part is purely fact driven, and on the CDC website they have all sorts of data that you can export to Excel. So I've done that, and what I have here is a list from New York City, just because it's a hot spot, all the way through December 6th. So today is December 8th. This is 2 days ago. Their total cases reported from 2 days ago in New York City is 340,293. All right. Their confirmed cases is 310,014, and their probable cases is 30,279. However, they report the sum of both of those last 2 numbers. Now, I'm no doctor, I'm no medical professional. I do have some questions on how probable cases are counted in the total cases metric. So if it's probable, even if let's say it's 80% factual, why would that be reported in total cases? Just some, intellectually honest questions there. Then we come to another interesting metric in the same state, New York. Here, so the total death count in New York City is 24,388. Year to date, not year to date, I'm sorry, from the end of January to now, is 24,388 to today, or when it was reported, which was 2 days ago, so December 6th. Confirmed is 19,674. Probable death to COVID is 4,714. So this is another thing I find very interesting. Probable death. Now I'm going to kind of go from what was factual data to a little bit of speculation here. How do we go from confirmed deaths to probable? You can figure this out on your own, I guess. What if there was a person who went and got have symptoms and go get an exam or a test done, and they went to the local clinic, and it's the drive-through, and a person comes out and they swab. Yes, you're positive. Go home and quarantine, and on the way home they get T-boned. Does that go down as a COVID death? Interesting. Also, we discussed earlier how many tests are recorded positive from one person. So, being intellectually honest here, not biased one way or the other, what is the level of inaccuracy of the reporting that we are receiving? You should ask yourself this question. You should do your own research. Don't just rely on some guy looking into a camera and talking. Now, the next thing is pretty incredible, and this is directly from the CDC website, is that so far we have done 204 million tests in America. 204 million. Now, we have just north of 300 million Americans, right, as of mid-2019. So let's just say for a second that every test was done on an American. That means that 2/3 of Americans have been tested. Now, I don't know how important it would be for the sake of this video to consider if that's true, if 2/3 of Americans had been tested, or for the sake of the video, let's just say out of those 200 million, let's just say 100 million had been tested twice on average. I think that's fair. I think it would be understandable for most rationally minded people to say that that on average, a positive or a person that got tested also got tested again. Okay, so 200 million, and there's some small numbers behind them. So out of those 200 million, this is once again directly from the CDC website, they actually provide you with a percentage. Out of those, it's 204 million for full transparency here. Out of that, 8.06 have tested positive. 204 million tests and 8.06 have tested positive. Out of the 204 million tests, the total number of deaths, now we could discuss all day the accuracy of reporting of whether or not they are fully attributed to COVID or extraneous circumstances. We discussed a car accident earlier. What if a person has severe bronchitis, is in a high risk category, and they catch COVID? I mean, that would be a terrible thing for that person to go through. And from what I know, they may lose that battle and they may succumb to their bronchitis. Well, from what I can see so far on the CDC website, that death would be attributed to COVID. Is it entirely COVID's fault? Or is it in part their pre-existing condition? Back to the overall death rate. As we said before, 204 million tests have been conducted. Of that, 282,000 have lost their lives due to COVID, according to the statistic. Before we even get into too much of splitting hairs on how many of those people actually died from COVID alone, let's understand that of the 200 million people who were tested, 8.06% were found to be infected, and 0.001% passed away from COVID. Let's think about that again. These are factual numbers. This is not my bias. There's no spin here. This is directly from the CDC website. You can look it up yourself, and I ask that you please do so. 200 million total tests reported. Of that, 16,448,079 positive tests, which is 8.06%. Now, we have to be intellectually honest here and understand that of those positive tests, a lot of those are going to be duplicates. And if I'm wrong, which maybe I'm human, if I'm wrong that there is a way that the CDC is able to delineate between multiple positive tests in the same person, please let me know. I have not been able to find it myself. Then we move down to, of those total tests done, 204 million total tests, 282,000 people are attributed to have lost their lives due to COVID. And if every single one of those losses, as tragic as they are, if every single one of those is true, which, being honest, we can argue whether or not they are true, let's just say they are, that is 0.001% likelihood from being tested to passing away. This is why we've changed the world. This is why we've changed politics, why we've changed small business, why we've changed the economy. This is why everything is different. This is why sporting events have changed. This is why, not to be selfish here, this is why I had to cancel my training meeting this week. From this? Once again, it's December 8th and I'm coming off of a long news hiatus. That was a decision I consciously made. But this is ridiculous.